Hello and welcome to this video about King Henry VIII of England. Near the end of the Middle Ages, England was torn apart for 30 years by the Wars of the Roses, a series of civil wars between English nobles over control of the English throne. In the aftermath of this conflict, the Tudor dynasty took the throne in 1485. The first Tudor king was Henry VII, who restored peace, law and order. His successor, King Henry VIII, was quite a character. Not only did he increase and centralize royal power, but he also had 6 wives, started a new church, and finished as kind of a tyrant. But how did all of that happen? That's what you'll find out in this video. First things first, how did Henry VIII manage to increase and centralize his royal power? There were 3 reasons, as there were 3 possible enemies or competitors for the king. First, the nobility, second, the church, and third, Parliament. All 3 of them were sidelined. First, the nobility was sort of crushed by the Wars of the Roses. Second, Henry put an end to political power of the Catholic Church, as we will see in a minute. And third, Parliament was not really a big deal anymore, because its greatest power, approving or refusing taxes to support the king, was pretty much useless, as the Tudors were rich enough by themselves. Now, that's that. But how did Henry VIII end up with that many wives and a new church? When Henry became king in the year 1509, he married Catherine of Aragon, a Spanish princess. But the couple was unable to bring forth a son. Henry wasn't too happy with that, because no son meant no crown prince and no succession. Hence, in 1527, Henry resolved to divorce his wife and to remarry. Catherine, however, strongly opposed a divorce, and she sought support from her nephew, Emperor Charles V, and from the Pope of the Catholic Church. In 1531, Pope Clement VII forbade Henry to remarry under pain of excommunication, that is, being thrown out of the Catholic Church. In spite of the papal warning, Henry took matters into his own hands, encouraged by an increasingly anti-papal public mood in England. In 1533, he ordered the English Archbishop to declare that his marriage with Catherine was invalid. Henry then married one of the ladies at his court, Anne Boleyn. The Pope reacted immediately by excommunicating Henry VIII. Next, Henry started anti-papal reforms. In 1534, the English Parliament passed a law that turned the English Church into a state church headed by the English king. This was the start of Anglicanism. 2 years later, Henry disbanded all English monasteries and took their possessions, which made the king even richer than he already was. Yet he kept the structures of bishoprics and parishes to organize the church, and there wasn't much change in church teaching. It was only later that Protestant ideas would gain importance in the English state church. The only place in the country where Henry's religious reforms were not accepted was Ireland. The Irish people remained Catholic and loyal to the Pope in Rome. While church reform took place, Henry's rule became more and more despotic and even tyrannical. Laws were passed that declared every rejection of the king's policy to be treason, punishable by death. One of the victims of this legislation was Chancellor Thomas More, who was beheaded in 1535 because of his refusal to recognize Henry as supreme head of the English Church instead of the Pope. More acts of high treason were declared by Henry VIII than by any of his predecessors. He also accused his second wife, Anne Boleyn, of adultery, incest, and plotting against the king. She was executed in 1536. After her, Henry would remarry 4 more times. Henry VIII was succeeded by Edward VI, Mary Tudor, and Elizabeth I, but that's a different story. Here you get an overview of the most important things that were just discussed. You can press pause to have a closer look at it. Don't forget to fill in the Google Forms, and thanks for watching!